All right. Good evening, folks. That was certainly different. And welcome, everybody. Let's see. So, Jeff's here. Luke is here. Breathalyzer's here. Paul is here. Eric is here. Eddie is here. Did I miss anybody? I hope not. Let's see. Looks like everybody. Yep, I think that's everybody. Can't tell. Anyway. So, things have changed again. Harmonic, good to see you. You missed the dreadful jam, the dreadful jam at the beginning. Heck of a lot of experimentation going on tonight. I did not really get a chance to test everything after I, well, did some stuff. We'll get to it. Let us start, as usual, with what's been in the jam. And I will say real quick, Friday I got my, before we get to the jam, Friday I got my second shingles vaccine. It's a two-parter for those who don't know. And I've spent most of the weekend feeling like I was, I just got off a real bad bender. Let's put it that way. I have felt hungover. I'm just starting to feel a little better today, or mostly normal today. And but it's like the side effects from that vaccine are every symptom from every typical seasonal disorder that happens all at once. So I'll be coughing more than usual, but today is the first day that I've been able to get more than 3 or 4 words out at a time. So let's see. Let me quick down. Sorry to hear. Thank you. These hit me like slate, Luke. They hit me like slate. You know, I had sorry, 6 weeks ago, I guess it was, I had my COVID and flu and RSV and the first shingles dose all done at once. And I had, and that kind of knocked me on my butt. I had been getting Pfizer and until that time, that was the first time I got the Moderna. So I didn't know whether it was the Moderna COVID that had knocked me on my butt or shingles. But after Friday and this past weekend, I'm pretty sure it was the shingles that actually knocked me on my butt. And so my hope is to not get shingles. I've known a number of people who've had shingles and they've been miserable, and frankly, this was miserable enough. So I have an agenda, and I'm not sure where I put it. Let's see. Excuse me for a second. There's a few things that are in somewhat, I would say, disarray. I did not put it on here, so I'm going to pull the agenda up on one of my iPads real quick. As soon as I find the app that it's in. That's not it. Or do I not have the app on this iPad? Of course. Of course. There it is. And one of the things that, continue. Really? This doesn't have any of my notes synced over. Oh, here we go. Getting there. So here's the ones from 2023. Here is 2024. There we go. All right, so let's do what's in the jam. I've got my show notes available now. And so we'll start with that just like we usually do. And to do that, we will jump over to that. So I have kind of an interesting setup tonight. I've been playing with some new software, which we'll talk about in a little more depth a little bit later. So our first track is, let's see, I have to set things up a little differently. The stream may want, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, that would be a good, what's that, point of order, Luke? I haven't done anything with parliamentary procedure since I was in high school. Robert's Rules is what I'm more familiar with. And I'm only so familiar with that. Let's see. I want to do that shot. That's what I want. I'm gonna mute the. So anyway, first sound that you heard, and I got to kind of adjust some of this on the fly so that it'll do what I want it to do, because I've got it routed weirdly for this guy. I gotta get new glasses. That's another thing that's what I want. And we will set that to auto. So the first thing we heard was this from Contrast. Interesting, the mics are picking up the keyboard much more than they did before. So something else that'll have to change, yay. All right, so let's put that back where it belongs for now. That comes from there and there. Next up was one of our old standard multi-poly patches. And let's do that. So I avoid the whole, as some know, I avoid the entire OBS audio input things not working by not using OBS. I've never had good luck with OBS, consistent or otherwise. It's just always been a bad scene for me. So all of my streaming, all my video is handled in hardware. All the audio mix is done in Ableton Live and piped out to the hardware. It just, has never worked well for me. Now, it's entirely possible that part of my problems with OBS and everything have been Windows being Windows. That wouldn't surprise me necessarily. But I'm not gonna change now. I've got too much invested in the hardware aspect. And it's working the way. Well, that's, and that's the thing, Jeff, that was another problem. I hate relying that much on USB, or hated relying that much on USB. So this is, this is doing, most of my video and audio stuff works now, although that does bring up a question. Last week I got comments. So last week, well, we'll pick that up. I'll get to that. I do want to talk about audio tonight, though. So anyway, this was a multi-poly patch that we've all heard before. Difference is that I'm running that into one of the new Beam plugins. I've got it running through taps for the echoey things, and we'll play a little bit with taps later on too. Or at least that's the plan. I'm getting used to the window close being in the upper left instead of the upper right. All right, so we'll put that back where it was. Lots of things I'm getting used to. Because I spent Luke was wondering what the upside down is all about. We'll get to that too. Taped echo taps. Tape echo and tape delay taps. That's what it's all about. No trumpet part for you tonight. I will let you know if trumpet parts are needed, Paul. Let's see. So we want that, and we want. Yeah, that should work. So this part was out of Omnisphere, and it oops. There we go. Modification of why is it not playing? There. Modification of the thick boy bass turned more into a little bit of a pad. Yeah, I know, but do we have a bugle? Do we have a bugle handy? So this is an interesting patch, the way I've kind of set it, because now it does more thing than one, multiple things at a time. And the reason it's doing that is actually running through a really slow arpeggiator. So it's kind of acting as a bass pad kind of thing. And we'll talk about how all that works. So the way I've got all this running, go back to the first track that we had pulled up here. I'm using this thing called Spacewalk. Spacewalk is basically, in this instance, just alternating between two chords. These two chords, this gets dumped into all of the tracks in one way or another. So in the contrast track, it's just alternating between the two chords. There's no arpeggiation, no anything. So it's just laying that down as a pad. So if we go for play, you hear this, which was a little louder than I expected, but we'll get over that. So you hear this. And so there's no arpeggiator. So every, I think it's 8 bars, it changes either from the D minor to the G minor and back. The next track is the multi-poly arpeggiator that you heard. And if we move over there, we've got a random arpeggiator set at an 1/8 note rate. Keep it within an octave. Blah blah blah. That's pretty much it. I've got it. I had to pitch it. I was fooling with the other day. Had the pitch thing in there. I don't really need it in this instance. Then it goes to the multi-poly. Play the notes and through beam for that I showed you for the echo, and then the bass part, that bass drone kind of thing. Arpeggiator. Anyway, why did that one not? Oh, did I forget to change something here? Probably, yeah. I forgot to change this back to the other thing. Change the routing back. One thing I find interesting about Omnisphere that other presets or other plugins don't do is they keep jumping back when something changes. So this is ArpEyeGator. Those are special arpeggiators that they have in Florida, I'm guessing. All right, so there we got the bass. The bass is running through its arpeggiator, which is running this pattern, but it's doing it one note or one change per bar. So it's getting this real slow slow bass line thing. So when you put them all together, the backing track was this. And then over top of all of that, I was playing another Omnisphere patch. A clock and dial. Yep, absolutely. Otherwise it all syncs. So anyway, this is the nice piano patch that I found last week. And it's got a so it's, yes, most classical music terms are Italian, but hey Kurt, good to see you. But there's a little velocity switch thing that goes on with this piano part that's pretty nice. It does that all those little flourishes. All right. So anyway, that's what was in the jam. We'll just let the backing track go. And yeah. So first thing after that, I wanted to talk about, last week I got a couple comments, both online and offline, that audio levels were exceptionally low. I did go back and check. It looked like I was about 20 dB down throughout the entire thing, which is about 6 dB lower than what I usually am. So I went in and adjusted, and you guys tell me if I sound louder or less loud, if my levels are decent. And actually, yeah, I don't have a screen where I can do that right now. Someone can jump in, look in stats for geeks or whatever it is on YouTube. If you can tell me where I'm at, I guess there'll be a line there that tells me, or tells you what the audio level is, not just the 100% before compression thing. I should be louder, and if it works out well, I'll go ahead and save the change I made. Does sound better. Thank you, Kurt. Our stats for nerds, I think, is what that is. Let me look over here. I have to look on the computer that's behind me for that particular action, and I got to be careful because I'm. Shoot, I don't have that up. Yeah, if someone can tell me if someone can go into stats for nerds and tell me what the levels are, I would appreciate it. In the meantime, I will move on. Because, you know, everything in the studio is different this week. I basically, the question that Luke asked was, what was the upside down graphic about? Well, basically, I turned the studio upside down. And so there's all kinds of new angles available. Let's start with that. And let me give you at first a kind of an overall view of what has gone on here. So this is the wide version of the down shot, and gives you kind of a hint as to what's happened. The controller is still where it is. The Stream Deck has moved up here. I now have a placeholder for a succulent. And as I've threatened numerous times, the monitor is now here. The big monitor is now here. And there's a lot of things temporarily in place, but I'm set up now so that basically for those who missed last week, I've switched over to Mac from the PC. And so the Mac is now running everything as far as music and audio is concerned, and so it's currently not in its dock mode, but it is running through a Thunderbolt dock, and everything in and out of the Mac that way. That works perfectly. I mean, I'm just astounded how easily that works. But I did not get quite everything done. But I was to a point that I got committed. So let's see. If we move over to, I got a whole bunch of new camera shots that I got to find. If I move over to here, yes, I'm going to do camera moves on air. Move the back screen. Most of the wiring all the wiring is redone, and now over here I've moved the audio interface, MIDI interface to my left, and combined that with the video camera control and the two recorders. The two recorders are down in here. DDR1 is record, DDR2 is playback for when I do any of that. So no, anyway, all the signal central is in that area over there. And right now I've also got the MacBook sitting here, just so I can still see everything all the time. And then down here, temporarily anyway, I've got an iPad. The iPad that is usually the mixer control and light control is also now got my script and a little bit of confidence monitoring going on over there. So that's what's over on that side. And then let's see here. I want to go back to the button layout's all different on the on the Stream Deck now. I want to go to, where do I want to go? Camera 2. Oh, here it is. I want to go this way. So as we swing back over to the right, again, you can see how that whole left side of the room is laid out now. And then I have moved into the spot where the rack for audio and MIDI was. I've now moved the modular setup. So, and Luke was concerned about how much of a reach that was. With it sitting like this, it's actually very comfortable. I've got another mic here that I have to remember to turn on as I move over. So it's a very comfortable reach. And there's a better shot from camera 1, I think, that shows that. Yeah. So you can see that it's not a bad reach for me to reach in here to anything while I'm, doing that. The nice thing about this is, or a nice thing about this is that it gives a whole series of much better angles on the modular rig, so I can show things. So from what is typically my camera 1, which is my face camera, I can also come over, excuse me, you've got that shot. I can go tighter on the 2600, or I can dump down and get a really nice or decent tight shot in there. And then from this camera, I can get a little tighter shot here, looking down on just the Eurorack stuff. So I can get in there, obviously you can see that. I can go tight on the 2600, tight down into there. I can get tight on the Recursion Studio if I'm doing anything with that, or over to the effects unit. So everything is now visible. And let's see, let's put that back there. So anyway, so new camera position, or new camera angles, new rearrangement of the studio. What you will notice though is that that I did not tell you where was. There's nothing in what I used to call analog land at this point. If we come over to there, which will take a moment for the camera to get over there. We'll watch and wait as it pans across the parts of the room where you can't see anything. I don't have any of the synths on the stand over here. It is a glaring empty space. So we'll get to that in a little bit. And while we look longingly at that space, I was going to set up a poll and I ran out of time, but we'll maybe Luke or Jeff could set up a poll real quick in the chat. And the question for the poll is what goes back on that stand, if anything? And the choices are Polybrute, Take 5, and Multi-Poly. Because gotta wonder what should go back in that space. It's all pre-wired, so everything is ready to work there. There's just no synth there because I couldn't decide what's going to come back. So while you guys are, if like I said, if one of you guys could put that poll together, that would be wonderful. If not, just tell me to pound sand. Either way is fine. But while you're doing that, we're not doing that. I'll go into oh shoot, chat stopped. Dadgummit. Let's see if it catches up. Maybe. Because I see a whole bunch of stuff came in. Shoot. Maybe? I don't know. Yeah, I missed it. I missed Andy showing up, and I missed Danny coming in. Good evening. Sorry. Hopefully chat will get back on track. So that tells me that part's still a little sketchy. shoot. I am no, I am not eyeing anything for Black Friday because I spent all my money and on the new computer. All right, I'm going to take that out. Oh, there it goes. Now I caught up. All right. Oh, I thought I had it set up, Jeff, so that you and Luke could both make polls. All right. Well, don't worry about it. No big deal. We can just chatter about it a little bit. Paul already put his answer in. Oh. Well, blah. All right. Well, okay. Thanks, Jeff. We won't be doing that part of it. That's interesting because I know I've watched people's streams where their moderators have done polls and administered polls. So I wonder if they've changed that or what. Anyway, so still to do in the studio. There's still a lot to do in addition to trying to get figuring out what's going to go over here. Things I didn't get to over the weekend and wanted to. One is I still want to move the overhead camera because it's still not getting quite the angles on certain things that I want. I'd really like to be able to be more straight on the modular rig and straight on to whatever goes over here. There are base moderators and there's some settings with more power. All right, I'll look into that for later. Obviously I can't change it now. At least not without disrupting what little flow there is here. I learn something new every time I do a stream, so that's great. Anyway, so I still want to move this camera. I know I've got a mark on the ceiling where it's going to go to. It just means getting up there with a ladder, and I need a cable stretcher for one of the cables and whatnot. Two of the three cables. I'm sorry. How many cables are there? Yeah, 3 of the 4 cables are plenty long, but I'd have to run a new Ethernet cable down because the Ethernet cable is a little bit short. I actually have more Ethernet usage here in the studio than the entire rest of the house put together, and I got a lot of stuff on Ethernet in this house. 2 TVs, 2 Apple TVs, Blu-ray player. They all have hardline Ethernet, and then there's half a dozen things on Wi-Fi running around. But I've got about twice that in here in this room alone. There's 14 of 16 ports on the switches in here used up. So anyway. Need more unipole moderators. Not unipoly instead of multipoly moderators. Is that what you're saying? So anyway, the camera needs to get moved. I still want to make some more improvements to the lighting, and that'll happen as I close the business down and close the office down. I got some track lighting that's in the office downstairs. That'll get moved up here, and I can do some more directed light into each of the zones in the studio, and get rid of stuff like over. I got the other stuff had been on weird pole lamps, and there's a desk lamp with a color changing light bulb screwed into it. Oh, and I forgot to turn a light on tonight. Actually looks okay without it. So anyway, need some lighting improvements yet. What you can't see is Under the tables, the cables are still a mess, so I still need to do some cable management under there. There's a closet over there that is full of the falling out stuff. There's stuff in there that hasn't been used in 13 years. So it's got to go. I need a confidence monitor near this camera, so I can look. I know it's on air when I'm looking there. Right now, if to look at chat and to see, make sure the right shot's up, I got to look at the main monitor over here. And then the only other thing that I need is some sort of keyboard drawer. Let's do this. Where is my shot? Let's see, because there's not... I'm waiting for the camera to move around before I put it up on air. Well, what? It's never stopped me before. So, when I'm doing the live streams, I have the Control S pulled up to the edge of the table here, so that you can see what's going on the screen, and I can everything. So everything's visible. It's kind of arranged for television, so to speak. The problem is that if I need to use the computer keyboard for some reason, there's not a good place for it. And so what I'd like to have is a little drawer that I can pull out real quick, type something, and stick it away. When I'm working by myself, it's no big deal because I can shove the whole shooting works back. I can see everything that I need to see on the Control S, and I can stick the keyboard right here. But again, it's not great for doing the streams because so I want to put some sort of pull-out thing in. Yeah, computer keyboard setup is a pain, and right now I've got I've got a keyboard on the pad over here. I've got the keyboard on the laptop. I've got the keyboard on that computer over there. Now I don't need to touch that computer very much. The problem for me right now with this is that I want the keyboard, the music keyboard, to be at the right height to play. That means that the table height is much lower than a normal table height, and the laptop screen just went to sleep. There we go. So a pull-out drawer is the bottom of the table is already hitting my knees, so it's going to have to be. I had tried one and it was just way too low. So yeah, so my I'm watching the chat now. My my table height is the height of a thing we haven't seen in years. It's called a typing return. That's the height of the table tops in here, so that the keyboard, the Control S, sits at the right level for me. And yeah, I should turn. I need to get Jiggler, or just remember to change the screen timeout length before I do the stream, because I'm on power, so I can turn it so I can set it so it doesn't shut off at all. I just didn't do it. I'm still getting used to a Mac. I have to remember how a Mac works. Jiggler is a utility that fools the computer into thinking that you're jiggling a mouse or hitting a key. And that way the screen doesn't go to sleep. And like I said, I can just go in, if I just have to remember to go into the screen settings, power settings, and turn the screen sleep off. I don't have, it's my Mac that's going to sleep. The PC is, the PC is turned off. It's not connected to anything. There's not even a power cord going into it right now, Luke. Everything is coming off the MacBook, the new MacBook. So yeah, because I had the the PC set up so that it would never go to sleep. If it was powered on, it just stayed on. Screen never went to sleep. Nothing ever shut down until I turned it off. Because the MacBook is now my. It's not only is it the studio computer, it's my daily driver. So it does everything. So sometimes I want the screen to go to sleep. Other times I don't. And so yeah, I mean there's a setting you can go into the OS and tell it don't blank the screen. I just didn't do it before I came in here, and it's ultimately should be on my list. It's just a matter of remembering to do it, Andy. I just, it dawned on me. So in the past, I would come in here about 5 o'clock in the afternoon, or 5:30 in the afternoon, or maybe earlier, maybe a little later, whatever. Power everything up, get everything started, everything's running, and then I go away, do stuff on the laptop, maybe maybe make some updates to the sequences and stuff that we're going to run and shove them over to pick up later. Whatever I wanted to do on the laptop in the dining room. Then a few minutes before, I'd walk back here, press the button, we do the stream. Tonight, it dawned on me that I have to bring the show with me. So it was. I was a little bit of an oh shoot moment, and so I simply forgot to turn the screen blanking off. Oh, now that's good to know. So that actually that's good to know, Eric. I like that idea. So I can tell it if Ableton is running, never blank the screen. I like that. Let's see. We'll make sure. I wanted, if I thought about a standing desk, an adjustable height desk in here, but it would just, with this L is huge. I mean, it's 8 feet across this way and 6.5 feet or so this way. So I would have to, the mechanisms for that, I'd have to have two. They'd have to be synchronized. I mean, it would be a nightmare to try and make that work on something this big. As cool as it would be. So that's a unfortunately, as Jeff says, we kind of have a there's trade-offs that you got to make. So if you buy the adjustable frames, I've installed a bunch of these motorized lift things for customers over the last 8 years or so. The ones from Monoprice has a mid-level a mid-level motorized thing that's not super expensive. It is solid as a rock. And some are cheap, and yeah, they wobble a lot, but the ones from Monoprice are really nice. And the newer ones, I think IKEA's got a newer one that's pretty nice, or at least I think they did. But the like I said, the ones from Monoprice are good, a good deal. Let's see. So I'll look into the jiggler thing, especially if I can set it to work per app. That way I don't have to worry about turning it on. It just does the thing. Jeff, I would put the Monoprice one up against what you're saying. Just because of the amount of stuff and edit systems that we put on these things, so people can move, people can stand or sit when they want. It's like an adjustable rock, I swear. They're amazingly good, and again, not horrifically expensive. They're more expensive than going to IKEA or Staples or someplace like that and getting their good ones. But they're hearty. Are you talking, Eric? Are you talking about the jiggler? I like that's an aspect from Andy. That's an aspect of work from home that I like too. I still and of course now that the company is here for another couple weeks, I do a lot of remote access stuff, a lot of remote meetings now. Subsequently, I don't like being on Zooms that are of a personal nature, but I spend a lot of time on Zoom and doing remote access stuff. I use TeamViewer for that currently because it worked with. It was already on most of our in the broadcast and television business. It is the standard. It's the de facto standard, and it's on everything. and that way I only had to, and I could manage every workstation, and it was nice piece of software. Very expensive. But the service is good, and oh, thank you, Eric. I appreciate that. I saw you pop the link up in the Discord, so thank you. So anyway, that's kind of sort of what's happened in here, and basically the idea for the upside down graphic was that I turned the place upside down. And this is what happened. And I'm this is first night with the new arrangement, but I'm very happy with it. I thought about it a lot before I did it, and I tested a lot of reach and all that kind of stuff as I went. There's still going to be some adjustment that needs to happen. I'm not quite sure about the main camera being over here while things are here. I don't know about that yet. It does allow me to get some nice camera angles, that I couldn't get before. So there'll be some growing with that adjustment of that camera, but I can do things like I'm gonna do a move on air here, so I can swing even that camera into this area so that when I'm playing and on camera you can see more TV-like shot, and I can even go to the close-up of my playing, so fun stuff like that. It does get me some better nice camera shots, and as I showed you earlier, it gets me close-ups into the modular pretty easily. So there's that. There's that nice thing, and then of course I still have the patented lava lamp shot. We can't not have the lava lamp shot, and we've got the lucky cat shot too. They have to be on They have to be on the camera control. So Happy Cat says hi. So anyway, it's a lot of it's more. Some of it's more convenient. Some of it's less convenient. But I think overall it's going to be a nice way to work. The other thing that I've done is because I don't always. Sometimes I need to jump in to look at Ableton Live, and I don't need to show you what I'm doing in Ableton Live. I now have that switching capability. Before I had to reach around and get to it. Now it's on a control on my Matrix controller right there. I can just reach in and tap a switch and switch the main monitor from looking at what's on air to looking at Ableton Live itself. So lots of improvements, but still some growing pains, still some things to do, but we'll get there. And one of those things to do is to decide what analog slash so Andy, the thing about the Happy Cats is each one has a different, each color has a different meaning, and I don't remember all of them, but I do remember when you go into Chinese restaurants everywhere, you see the gold ones. And at first I didn't really know that there were different ones. I just, oh, gold Happy Cat, went to Amazon, ordered one. Gold Happy Cat showed up. What I found out that one means is its meaning, the gold one has to do with prosperity and money. And what I really wanted, as it turns out, what I really should have gotten was the white one, which is more about inner peace and that kind of thing. Anyway, but they're all referred to as Happy Cats, and yeah, so that one, I guess you could refer to it as Greedy Cat, but I didn't know that when I ordered him. Anyway, he's still there. What he does ask of a lot from me is more batteries. It runs on. I think I go through a AA every month in that thing. Or maybe I should have got one of the ones like... oh, that's interesting, because there's no coins or money that guy's sitting on. He's just sitting right on the tabletop, and most of the ones that I've seen aren't sitting on money. I know that Chris Bryant has a white one. It doesn't wave. It's just sitting there, and I don't think his is sitting on money. But I looked at what caused me to look into the different colors is I wanted to know why he had the white one. So I learned something about it. So anyway, let's discuss real quick. Okay. That means when I do this, that means when I do the show and I turn the lights down in here, it'll stop waving. But I could look at that. So I have for the analog slash virtual analog corner of the room here, I have three choices of what to bring back in here. Four really. I could bring back I have the Polybrute, I have the Take 5, and I have the multi-poly. And I could bring any combination of those back, or I could bring nothing back. So the reason I say that is for the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months anyway, the Polybrute and the multi-poly have been sitting on here. And I think for the last at least 6 weeks, neither one of them has been turned on. I've been doing everything either in the box or on the modular. And I don't know. Actually, I take that back. I had the Take 5 in here, had it set here on the desk because we were fooling around with a couple 3 weeks ago, we were fooling around with the remote, the hardware integration with Omnisphere, and I was finding it was a little bit, it's a little tweaky. So most of the time, Luke, the space over here that's behind me in this shot, most of the time that space is going to be empty. It's just going to be an area for me to put stuff, although I don't want to let it stack up. And it can be it was always intended, this desk was always intended, or part of it was always intended to be an area that was in flux. It could be nothing, it could be something, it could be, you know, and when the modular first came in, it took up the bulk of that space because the place that I had, the way everything else was arranged, that was the only place for it to go. So that was actually kind of awkward to have to go over here. Okay, Eric, well, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the hint on the jiggler thing. I will definitely be looking into that. Very useful. So good night, say hi to the wife, all that good stuff. But Luke, I agree. It's nice to have some empty space. Either just to have some empty space, so you don't feel like you're constantly crowded up with stuff, or a place to be able to work on something ad hoc. You know, like I know that the projects that are lined up over the next couple of weeks for that space, the previous laptop, Mac or Apple, or Windows laptop, that needs to be all the music software on that needs to be deauthorized, removed, and cleaned off, and then everything else basically cleaned off. It needs to be first birthdayed and then set up for Donna. She's going to that's going to replace her, the computer in her office, and a laptop that she uses for certain things. With one computer, she'll have a similar setup. She can plug in and dock to her monitor and keyboard when she's in her office, or just grab and go. And it's for the stuff that she does. It's a pretty nice laptop. For a real basic setup, I tested for when she does eventually get to doing her video stuff. It will run OBS with simple stuff. You know, basically simple cuts, 2 cameras, and a PowerPoint. It'll run that just fine. And simple. You know, she can do simple editing on it if she needs to. It does great on photo editing and stuff like that. So that computer is going to get set up for her. The desktop that's sitting over there, unpowered, I'm going to first take all the software off of that, deauthorize everything, and first birthday that, and probably sell it. Or try to. I won't get anywhere near what I've put into it, but you know, someone can use it as a good audio production machine. It's pretty good for that. It's with the addition of a graphics card, or it'll make a monster gaming system, or video editing system. It actually does okay on video editing with the even with the built-in graphics on the processor that's on it, the Ryzen 9. I wouldn't want to do heavy-duty stuff with, you know, ray tracing and all that kind of stuff, but general video editing it does fine, up to like 3 or 4 layers. So that I tested with. So you know, that stuff will get out of here, and I gotta clear some stuff out. I just got stuff that's not sitting, and I don't know why, Jeff. I've just not been. Why I've not been playing with the Polybrute. There's not a good use case for Linux in this house, except for one system that this Ryzen machine would be complete and total overkill for. I may put Linux on. There's a box in the basement that runs the file server and whatnot down here. It's currently running on Windows 10 Pro. It's too old to bring up to Windows 11, so I will likely put Linux on that and use that for the server. But that's the only application that Linux would have here. And you know, the only operating systems here that support all the applications that need to be supported are Windows or Mac OS. And we don't have Donna is my enabler. I will say that to everyone in the world. I don't, but so she made this MacBook happen for me, and I mean she figured out how to make the money work, so I don't use Bitwig. I tried Bitwig, I really did. I did not like it at all, and I don't know why, because Bitwig's got some. It's an awesome DAW. It's got some really great features. The grid is really cool, but I just did not get on with it. Of course, initially, years ago, I didn't get on with Ableton Live either. That was only a recent thing. The last couple of years, it's like I looked at it again. Well, I've told the story, but between Luke. Yeah, it just doesn't jive. But between Luke, Tetro, and Chris Bryant, Signs of Life, watching them work with Ableton Live, you know, the little light bulbs came on, and it was like, oh yeah, of course that's how that works. And of course, that's the way it should be done. And it's, you know, I don't know everything about it. I probably never will. But it always does what I ask it to do. Well, mostly. I don't feel lost in it particularly anymore. So, you know, the biggest thing for me, for years and years and years, I worked in DAWs like Cubase or Studio One. Early versions of what is it? Logic. In my first cycle through having Macs, because I used to be all Mac years and years and years ago. I was all Mac. I just got to the point I couldn't afford it. So I ran Logic way back, and I ran a couple others. But they were all linear DAWs, and you know, so they're all linear DAWs, and meaning they were always like being in right button, Garen. Boom. So it was always like being with those. It was always like being in Ableton's. Let's get this off the screen. It was always like being in arrangement view, all the time, and I never saw anybody using arrangement view actually until I saw Chris use it, and I'm like, oh. So there is this capability in Ableton Live. Okay, cool. And then, like I said, I watched more with Luke and Tatro, and Tatro's series, it really made it click after watching Chris and Luke, and then Tatro. It all made it click as I go, okay, yeah, that's the way that this stuff should be done. And I know that Bitwig is similar, and I know that Bitwig was developed by former Ableton folks, so I know that there's a similarity, but it was just not similar enough for me to make it, to figure it. It just didn't jive with me. And Jeff, that's where I think Bitwig probably excels, and probably tops Ableton Live. But because that is one thing I have noticed, if you try and use like the LFO little thing within Ableton Live, at least on PC, that sucks down a lot of power. I think Noise Theorem has told me that about the Force, and he was a huge proponent of the Force. In fact, for a while it was pretty much all he used for sequencing and MIDI control. He has since gotten the new the live version 3, and apparently that has just blown the Force away for me. I think he's even getting ready to sell his Force if he hasn't already. Oh, you know what? That makes a better place to put my drink. Man, maybe not. Keep it as low as it can. You do some. You get a lot out of the Machine Plus, Andy. I tell you that. More than I think some other people that I've seen, if I'm honest. So anyway, time is growing short, so I want to jump real quick. No one has given me any ideas of what I should do about this corner over here, and so I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do over there. It's all wired, ready for something. So I did real brief. Let's go ahead. I'm going to go back to the DAW here. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I've sort of got one with lights on it over here. Bigger Eurorack. Yeah. So what to that end, Jeff, if I were to do bigger Eurorack, I probably would expand this one and head this way with it. And then put the empty flat table over here, if I were going to do that, or when I do that, because apparently I can't not, so or I won't be able to not do that. So anyway, let's let's see. We got about 10 minutes yet. Well, so I could go, if I were to do that, yeah, I mean, I know people will be disturbed and disgusted with me and be angry and everything, but I probably would use, even in Eurorack, I probably would use Behringer stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's like I right now I have, I think, 2 modules left on my list for the starter pack, so to speak, and so it's it's about another $250, and I will consider this instrument to be complete. And that's kind of the way I look at this. This is actually going to be, it'll actually be 2 complete instruments over here. So the and the idea behind this, there's yeah, exactly. Although, you know, I know some retired folks who've got some just hella, or have been building some really hella Eurorack systems. Yeah, that's more than I need. So the way this is set up, I got the 2600 obviously, which can stand alone, and then the 3U 84 HP little tip top happy ending set, that can be a synth all to itself. It's currently got a 110 module in it for oscillator, and right now I'm just using the filter in it because I still haven't had time to tune up the oscillator. I've got modulation sources in there, mixers, and there's a low pass gate. So most of my utilities are down there. And then I want to add a wave folder. That's when you get the FARB folder is the one I'm looking at, and a WASP filter, and that pretty much will finish out that lower rack, and I will have a complete instrument capable of doing up to 3 voices if I want to. Honestly, to start out, I think that's enough. I spent 2 or 3 weeks just having fun patching the 2600 all by itself. So there's enough capability there to keep me happily patching for some time. But I know there are things that I will probably want to add at some point. I will probably want to add sequencing within the racks. Right now, I'm doing the sequencing is either coming out of Ableton through the key step. I'm using the key step as MIDI to CV conversion, or I sequence or arpeggiate right within the key step. I like the looks a lot of the new. The key step Mark II. I've got the key step 37 here. The only thing I don't like about the new key step Mark II is that it has it's only got 32 keys. What it does add though is a second modulation output, and that second modulation output can be addressed either one can be aftertouch, since the keyboard does have aftertouch internally. The other can be mod wheel, and those can be also sent over via MIDI. Jeff, are you streaming tonight? Because I don't want to run into you if you are. So I mean that's okay. I will definitely be off then in 10 minutes. So the we'll look closely at I got 2 new pieces of software, which I mentioned during the What's in the Jam part. I got Spacewalk from Higher Plane Software. I'm just starting to fool with that, and I've got the Ben Jordan / Lunacy modules or nodes for Beam, his taps and portals package, and they are so much fun. I would love to have the Pro, but it's a matter of cost. Maybe one day, as I decide what is and isn't coming back in here. You also notice that the mod wave, the wave state, and the Op6 hardware are not in here, and they're not going to come back. They're not going to come back in here. The question is whether so even if the multi-poly does not come back into the studio, I'm not going to get rid of it. It's too much fun. Even in both hardware and software, it's too much fun. The question is what'll happen with Polybrute Take 5. I just don't know. The Take 5 has been fun, taking over to Paul's for jams occasionally, so that may stay around. I don't know. We shall see. You know, and going back to Andy about the KeyStep Pro, you know, with its four tracks, it's more really than I need. I don't know that I need to have 4 sequencers. I would be more interested in being able to set up yeah, I don't know why. Like I'd be able to set up a pad, or a drone or pad on one of the synths and play with the others. Now that's a thought. I am not going to be. I'm not going to be doing Jamuary this year. I don't, at least not in any organized fashion. I certainly not. Yeah, I'm not planning to do Jamuary. There's too much other stuff going on around here, and you know, between regular streaming, other music projects I want to work on, dealing with, you know, what will be the fallout from shutting down my company and rolling into some freelance work, and then helping my mom with stuff. It's too much this year. So what I'm looking at, I did it last year. I didn't do it the year before, and then I did it, you know, the year before that. So what I might do is try and target doing it every other year. Not sure. And you know, there's Noisevember or whatever it is, and there's Synthtember. You know, there's too many of them. So I might do Jamuary every other year. I think that may be the way I head with that. Yeah, it's like I got too much other pressure. So I'm just going to do my weekly thing, and if I have time to do some other stuff, I will. So NaNoWriMo, the thing that went down with NaNoWriMo is a story and a half for another day. Donna did it a couple of years ago. She was very involved, and apparently all hell broke loose over there, and she ain't going back. You know, it was a thing. Now I will say that, you know, going into as we get into next year, I'll have a lot more time, because, you know, the lack of well, I think I'll have a lot more time. I am certain that so many things are going to creep in to take over the time that I save by not having a regular job is going to be is going to be filled very quickly with other things that need to get done. So yeah, I kind of stepped out of paying attention to what was going on, Jeff, but I understand that the organization that runs it now is completely different, you know, and people got in possibly legal trouble. I don't know. All I know is that it was really an ugly scene. And I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to pay any attention. And like I said, Donna's like, she's not going anywhere near it again, I don't think. Unless things really change over there, she's not going anywhere near NaNoWriMo again. Some of it actually, I think, took away some of her desire to write, which she's finally getting back. And I hope she doesn't break that. Anyway, it's about 25 after. Jeff is going to be coming up. I do not have the link to his stream in my chat today. Andy, good to see you, and I hope to see you again soon, on either online or maybe in person sometime. I don't know, Luke, if you're saying you're jealous of me. I know you're. I know you've had a rough week already this week and last week, but but you know, I'll let you know how it is if you were being jealous of me. Good night, Luke. We will talk tomorrow. Yeah, I don't. We'll see how jealous I am of it when we get into it in a few months. Well, I am looking forward to it for now. I have a feeling, like I said, I will be doing some part-time consulting and stuff like that. So I'm not completely getting it out. Good night, Harmonic. Catch you all again soon. We'll catch you next week. So in the meantime, I guess I'll play a little music, and we'll catch you all again later. Thanks, everybody.